Back with another edition of the Down and Back Cornhole podcast. Where's it down there? Right there. See, it's still Corn Dog. It's just not in the name of the show anymore. That's all. They still happen. But as you can see, I got to point the right way. That way.
That way. There you go.
That way. This guy here, I got to meet him a couple weeks ago. We're going to do a little bit of a recap finally after a couple weeks after the ACL Canada Open. Mr. Donny McPhee, you ventured north of the border for Cornhole for your first time. For Cornhole.
Yes, I did, friends. I made it to the first ever international ACL tournament. It was pretty amazing. I learned a couple things. We'll go into that later about traveling with your wife, but I can't talk about that too much because she's right above me. So I got to be really quiet when I say this. But no, it was great because it was in Niagara.
Yep.
And it was only a 7-hour and 20-minute drive from home here in Boston. So it was really cool. I dropped the kids off at school, came home, picked up the wife, and we started the drive. We stopped in Buffalo for sushi, which is kind of against my rules, where if you're not on a body of water, you don't get sushi. But it was a really great place. And then got up into Canada. We hit immigration or border patrol at about 5:00, and took us about a half an hour to make it through the border. And we handed them our passports and our Vax cards. They're like, "What are you here for?" We're like, "Cornhole." He goes, "What?" Like, "We're here for cornhole, the beanbag game." He's like, "You're here to throw beanbags?" Like, "Yes, I am." He's like, "Have a nice day." Handed us back our passports and sent us to the hotel.
Well, I think that's a little easier than I think Matt and Jamie. They said the first time they went over to the States, the guy actually put them through the agriculture department because they were because they had corn bags or cornhole bags.
Well, that was my biggest fear, Doug, because you know the history of my car.
Yes.
At the time, I had about 80 sets in the back of the car between the trunk area that's hidden so my wife can't see it, plus a bunch of backpacks set up. And as soon as I said cornhole, I thought I was going to, secondary. Mm-hmm. And they were going to start like swabbing every single bag and trying to figure out what's in them. But, they let us right through. So it was quite amazing.
Oh, yeah. And then it was great to finally actually get to see you in person. I think I was doing live feeds at the time. We were doing the Teams event on the Friday night you stopped in.
Yeah, on Friday night. So as we drove up, me and the wife, she wanted to kind of go out and just kind of see some of Niagara, kind of do some of the touristy stuff. So we decided I picked the wrong Days Inn. So the Days Inn I was in was 1.5 miles away from the venue. So we decided to walk. So we walked down through the falls. So here's what we got. I've got a tripod on my back. I've got my GoPro case in my hand. I've got my toolbox in the other hand with all my lights and my rig for the GoPro. And we walked 1.5 miles down to the event center.
Yeah.
Get there, and my wife's like, "Yeah, that was not fun." I'm like, "Don't worry. On the way back, we'll have lots of drinks, and it will be okay."
Yeah.
So we came down, we met with you, I dropped off my equipment, we kind of hung out, said hello to everybody. But then, on the way back, of course, because we're American, we got to go to, the only places we know and not go to anything,
mm-hmm.
cultural or anything. So we stopped at Margaritaville.
I was there on Saturday night about like 12:30.
Yeah, so Friday night we got there around 10. I think we left there around 11 or 12. But that's where we saw Trey Ryder's doppelganger.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
But then we went back to the hotel and slept. But the good thing is my wife's grade school friend, her dad and the family is from Canada, but she came and visited while we were in Niagara, come and hang out for the night with the wife. So I went to bed early. They stayed out till I think 2 or 3 o'clock in the Niagara nightlife, and because I had to be up early because I had to come see you the next morning.
Yes, and I was out late and I had to be up early. It was not fun, but I know if you would have had your former cohorts with you, I know that you would have been up the street from the venue at the Taco and Tequila bar.
If I was there with the boys, it would have been a long, long weekend. My liver probably would have hated me. My partner the next day would have hated me because it would have been a very long night. And, but so we're not even at Saturday yet. We'll get to Saturday in a second. But Friday night, it was pretty fun because, I did get to, after talking to you for 2 years, we finally got to meet.
Exactly, yes.
And I got to meet the man, the myth, the legend, Matt Pleal.
Yes.
So it was pretty cool to come in and see all the Octane gear and get to see the setup. It was a great setup. It was the first ever time unveiling the ACL Canada main stage.
Yes.
So, just like the same one we see down here in the States, they had another one made for Canada and shipped up there. I know that is being stored at the Octane garage somewhere.
No, I think it's at the warehouse where all the other 200 and some sets of boards are sitting right now. So if you need a set of ACL Canada boards, head over to csccornhole.com and you can get a set because there's lots there.
And if you were at the event, it's the same boards we played on. And those boards that we played on during the event were literally unboxed less than 12 hours before the tournament started.
Yeah, I was there bright and early at 8 o'clock on Friday morning to set those boards up. Actually, we had to set up the carpet.
Not just set up, Doug. You had to take them out of the box first.
Well, we had to take the carpets out of the box. We had to take the boards out of the box, the scoreboards out of the box. Like I said, I will never complain about setting up an 8-board league night ever again after that.
I think you guys filled up a half a cardboard dumpster.
I think so too. Well, not really, because all that cardboard came back and we put everything back in the box.
Oh, you saved it. Okay.
Yes. Put it back in the box to put back in the because they actually had they brought a transport of bags and boards, and it was there was a lot there.
Yeah, because it's really cool because the ACL set up, ACL Canada with a shipping container up there, right? For all the equipment you would need to run a tournament, which was the broadcast cords, all the carpets for the sideboards. And there's probably still more stuff in boxes that you didn't even have to unbox based on space. Just to make it work. And then, then there was also, Octane had their tent set up with all of their own gear, the Zuka bags that they sell.
Yep.
And then all the other companies that they bring into Canada to be able to be sold. I know there were some Ultra Cornhole bags there. There was some Titan bags there, by the way, right there.
Yep.
There was all Cornhole bags.
Mr. Meek had some local bags there as well.
Ooh, speaking of local bags, have you seen bags with the new alien resin in them?
I haven't seen them yet, no.
I had a box sent to me. Hold on. I don't have the bags with me, but I do have my hat. Hold on. So the bags with the alien resin, because I am a UFO hunter right there. So I got 3 sets of the new local bags. That is a great fill inside those bags, especially the Outlaws, because that's the bag I'm the most familiar with. Mm-hmm. With that new fill, that bag, I can actually throw that bag being a fast bag. With the old fill, when it was a fast bag, I would kick them all off the back. With the alien resin, I can actually control that bag a little more, and you can attest to this. I'm not a great player, but I can keep it near the hole and get a couple in here and there.
I still haven't put it out yet, but you did get to witness game 2 of Trey and I. It was quick.
It was quick. Doug, you had a couple little too much pepper there and a couple throws. I think the camera added 10 miles per hour to your throw.
Well, I changed bags. I didn't throw the normal Apex bags. I threw the boosted bags. I let Trey throw the Turbo SS's. I don't normally throw in jeans or a hoodie, so
Well, I think that was your problem, though, because the Turbo SS does have a little bite to that bag. So I think it helped Trey a little more because he kind of had a couple cut shots that I don't think he can throw.
Well, he did on that day.
He did on that day.
But yes.
But the most amazing part, though, really for me was, Friday night was great because I got to come in and see everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But the true tale was getting there on Saturday because I got there early. I wanted to be there before a lot of people got there because I just wanted to kind of get in, get a sense of the room, kind of get a feeling of how the venue was set up. But I kind of started throwing about 8 a.m. and then about 8:30, I stopped throwing bags. I warmed up a little bit because I wanted to be ready for the round robin.
Yep.
But then I stood at the back of the room, kind of where your broadcast table was set up, and just watching the people that came in. Mm-hmm. I can tell you that going to that tournament renewed my energy for the game, right? My vigor to want to keep playing. Listen, I'm the opposite of all the pros that go out there and play. I'm never going to be a pro because I just want to sit there and talk during the game. I want to have fun.
Yeah.
It probably drives other people crazy, but I'm just there to have fun. I'm not really there to win money. If I win money, it's a bonus, but that's not what I'm there for. I'm really there to kind of promote the sport, promote the sponsors, and continue to keep the game moving forward. But to watch the people walking in and really see, I think the best way I can equate it to, Doug, is that kid at Christmas when they walk downstairs and they see all the presents under the tree. Some of the people walking into that room were just in such awe with the amount of boards set up. Mm-hmm. If I walked in the room, I'm like, oh, wow, this is great. This is like, this is like 603 that I play in on a Thursday night. There's a bunch of boards set up and there's a bunch of people here. But I didn't realize how big it was for others because I've been kind of jaded a little bit by the game and by some of the bigger tournaments I've gone to where, this was the biggest tournament that Canada's kind of ever seen. A lot of those ever seen.
The biggest, the most boards I've had at a tournament before has been 15 sets. And that was at a conference tournament back in December. So now, and I talked to some people about this on Saturday, and they were like, you know what, we were glad that we were into Friday night and did the teams event, because if they would have walked in Saturday morning at 8 o'clock and seen that, they may have just turned around and walked right out again because we had 40 boards set up. There was the broadcast court was there. Like I had my live feed court, the ESPN broadcast court was there, and it was just, they were just kind of in awe of just how big it was.
Well, it was 40 courts though. It was 40 courts though with the regulation mats, right? It had it had the throwing box, the one you're supposed to stand in while you throw, while you're playing, right? So the carpets were side by side by side. So it wasn't just that many boards; it was also those carpets too. So it looked bigger than it was, right? And a lot of the people coming in were, really taken aback by it, of how big it was and how many people were there and how everybody was kind of connecting with each other throughout the tournament, right? People were playing, pretty much strangers. I met two guys that came in from Saskatchewan, right? And they're telling me it was like a 5.5 hour flight.
Well, no, those were that was Kevin and Buddy from BC.
BC. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Listen, like I said, I don't know geography, but
but yeah, and that was and people were walking into that, and then they've seen all these other names or people have either brought on the show here, but they see they got to go in and register with Todd Kosicki, Dave Weiser was up, and then you got Trey Ryder walks in the building, and they're like, he's the TV guy, and then Stacey Moore graces us with his presence on the Saturday as well too.
Well, I mean, you walk through the door and it can be daunting, right? Because the registration table usually is right there by the door, right? So it kind of can be a sensory overload as you walk into some of these tournaments, right? Because Todd might not be one of the bigger people in ACL, but he's one of the people in ACL that keeps it running, right? Yep. He's the guy you see on ESPN, on CBS, keeping score, kind of making sure everything's moving, You've got Trey Ryder, who's the kind of the puppet master, making sure everything's running smoothly from the broadcast to the games to keeping everything coordinated.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of see the who's who on the ACL webpage sitting at this one table, and you're like, wow, this is kind of crazy.
Yep.
And then Stacey Moore walks in, and you're like, this is the guy that owns it all, right? This is the man who steers the ship. So it can be pretty daunting for people to walk in there. But, not just them, but you walk in and you see Jordan Power. Yep. You see Lori Dool. You see
Jimmy McGuffin. You see Sam Finley.
Yeah. I mean, come on. You're seeing, some of the top players in Cornhole. And then you're there Friday night for an event where you're playing for your country versus, you're playing versus the Americans,
yep.
right? And we all knew going into it who the American team was going to be that was going to be there at the end.
Yeah.
And then, it was the best Canadian team put together that got to play against them, especially on TV. But I mean, I think it's telling of the product right now that the ACL is putting out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where you have these pros that are traveling and helping with the game. And then you have all these people that want to get into the game. And I think that weekend for Octane and for the ACL was amazing because it did. I think it will bring a lot more people into the sport in Canada and really start to really explode up there.
Well, and we're still going to go into some more of the tournament there as well. But just going to a tournament last week with Mike, I now know how to say his name because I actually asked him this time. Actually, no, sorry. Trey asked him this time. Mike Milazaric up in Moondog tournament up in Alliston. He had his biggest tournament of 45 teams, but 15 of those teams were brand new people to Cornhole that had never played in a tournament or anything before. So I think that was a real thing. And then it was another eye-opener for me because we were watching some of the live feeds from Salt Lake. And then, that kind of slowed down a bit. And so Mike put on the ACL broadcast, and those new people were kind of sitting at a table just off to the side of where I was. And then you see them kind of do the TV guy sitting there and which was another new thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, you had a daunting task on Saturday night being the official number 2 mic.
Well, and I kind of laughed at that because I walk in Saturday morning and Trey, I kind of meet with Trey first at like about 8:30, and he's like, "Okay, we got to do a call at 12:30, so just make sure you're back." I was like, "Okay," and he's like, "Oh, while you're here, we'll do a rundown on how it's going to be." And as he's talking, I'm like, in my head, I'm going, "I've watched all the broadcasts. I know what we're going to do. It's going to do this. So I kind of let him go through, but it was like, that kind of got things real. Then we went and we did the conference call at 12:30 with ESPN, and as I say, shit got real then because then you see them start to set up the cameras and everything, and it's like, okay, we're going to do this. But
when it got real for me is when you actually took your hat off, and I think it's the first time I've ever seen you without a hat, besides the big white snowdrift that you had Mohawk for a little bit on one of our Zoom calls. But seeing you in a polo, slacks, and no hat, I was like, whoa, this is like pro Doug.
Oh yeah, it's I was just trying to see something here. Yeah, I can't see it. I was going to say for people watching, but I can't see it, which is probably better. I don't show it, but whatever. But yeah, it was an experience. It was something fun. It was, and like I said to Trey, it was when he first told me about that when I was down at Rock Hill, I was like, I just made a dent in the floor of your office here. Do you need with my chin? Do you need me to fix that? But it's, it was I'm gonna say it was an honor, but I know McGarriger wasn't too happy because that was the first time I got to sit side by side. The two people on camera were side by side. They didn't have to be separated by 20 feet.
Well, I think Jeff might have a hit out on you, so you might have to
yes.
go to witness.
Actually, he did. There was a post that he said that we're done. So.
Yeah, I don't think it was to you. I think it was to Trey. I think it was Trey.
But no, that was fun, and that's where we can go back to some of the stuff early in the day on the Saturday, but that's where we seen kind of the best of the best was the Saturday night on that broadcast.
Well, I think also though, I think when you talk about during Saturday, I think there were some really great players playing in the round robin in the tiers, and I think as we move forward, I think more and more of them are going to come to the forefront, right? Especially my partner. My partner, Scott was great. He was shooting tens, 12s. He was doing great. I kind of let him down a couple times. At least 2 games, but I won 1 game for us. So I'm just going to hold my hat on that one. But there's some players out there, I think, in Canada that are getting ready, for breakthrough, right?
Oh yeah.
Not just the regular, what was it, 6 or 8 that played on the broadcast.
Yeah.
I think as this international scene for cornhole starts to explode, I think there's going to be more and more pros from Canada coming to the rising to the top.
Oh yeah, and even I said going in, there was like Paul Aiken I wanted to watch, another guy Dave Dunlop who in singles, I'll kind of go to that later on, but in singles he was the third last Canadian left in singles, and he was a name that nobody knew, but it was, I knew that he was going to have a breakout one. And there was just, I could probably name off about like 20 people that I'd seen that just really stepped up their game in their first big event ever.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like even some of the players that aren't going to be on TV, right? Even some of the players that like I got to play a game against, Ms. Lalonde.
Yes.
From Canadian girls play cornhole, right?
Yeah.
We lost that game. It was my fault. I lost the game. But it was fun to hang out with them and to continue to play because us mid-level players, myself and others included, are the ones that are going to keep the game moving forward. The pros are going to be the ones that are going to help with the sponsorship and the big kind of things like a Nike and Adidas,
Mhm.
a Bud Light, a whoever coming in. But we're the ones that are going to fuel it. I kind of bring it back to, either hockey,
Mhm.
Canadians. We do have the first pick next year, by the way, because we stunk so bad this year. We do get the number 1 draft pick. But, it's the fans and the people, that kind of play in rec leagues and other stuff like that is what drives the sport. You look at, deck hockey, you look at flag football. Those are the things that drive it, trying to emulate the pros.
Mhm.
So I just think there's a huge upside here for a lot of these people that are in the game and helping to grow
Say it.
grow the game.
There you go. Now, just going back to Karen for a second, did she tell you before you started that she's not very good?
She did.
And then she throws 4-baggers.
Yeah, she threw it. She's like,
that to me too.
oh, so great. We should take a picture after this, and then throw a 4-bagger.
Yes.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Guess what? She didn't get her damn picture.
She did that to me as well. Too. I'm not very good, and then just start throwing 4-baggers.
Yeah. Listen,
it's never happened before. Never happened before.
The one thing I will say, Doug, and I regret this, is I was really bad with the camera that weekend because I was walking around talking to everybody. I usually take a lot more pictures. Like, we didn't even get a picture together.
We didn't know.
I usually take a lot more pictures as I go around the stadium, as I go around, like, and talk to everybody, because I am a fan of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something I need to do better. I didn't bring my social media manager with me, my 12-year-old daughter, who usually keeps telling me I need a tickety-tockety and to be better on Instagram.
Yep.
We left the kids at home.
Yep.
Mainly because we're lazy and didn't renew their passports.
Well, I was trying to get my 12-year-old there as well too to help me out because I was the same way. I had other people. And I kind of joked about it after the weekend with my wife because she always just thought I'm just in the dungeon here doing the show for nobody else watching, right? And then you guys kind of gave me the shout out the one time with the Mohawk, And then she thought, well, maybe you are kind of big, not that big. But then this weekend, I'm getting tagged in posts and people are taking pictures. I don't know. People, if you're going to want to take a picture of me, don't do it at 8:30 in the morning after I've just went to bed at 3 that morning. But yeah.
Well, it's tough too because honestly, like your schedule was way tougher than mine that weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were there early with Matt and the team, and you knew you Matt, Brad, Matt's dad was helping out, getting everything all set.
Matt's brother, yeah, Carl was there, and Carl got to learn the new POS system that weekend, so it was fun. And then PJ Paul, his brother was just running back and forth with the truck because they put a new BG shapeshifter out, and then it was gone right away.
And listen, I mean, the bags that Canadian Cornhole
Supplies Canada.
Cornhole Supplies Canada. I keep screwing that up, but like they had some of the best bags on there. I mean, they had the All Slide 2.0s there. They had the regular. They had my favorite. Who?
They had Viper C's there as well.
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
But they had Titan bags.
And they had Titan bags, yes.
I was also going to my car during that tournament to get my Titan bags for other people to throw because they're like, what does this bag feel like? And I'm like, well, don't throw the ones that are on the table because they're selling those. I have them in the car. Let me walk outside. Let me get them so you can throw them. So, I had a bunch of different Titan bags there with me for them to try. I had my Venoms. I had the Undertakers. I had my Prowlers. I had, pretty much almost every Titan bag that's been put out there so people could throw them because, I don't consider myself a pro in the game. I consider myself an ambassador of the game, right? Mm-hmm. My job is to help sponsors like Titan Bags, like Scoreholio, for people to understand, how it is, how it works, how to keep it moving forward, especially like in tournaments, right? When you're running side tournaments, when it's not ACL, Scoreholio is the best software to run, right? Mm-hmm. Because it moves the tournament along, especially where I went to a tournament this weekend. Richie Queen was running one for women's softball, and I had the Scoreholio QR code on my Scoreholio patch hat. Mm-hmm. And people that were coming to sign up, I'm like, listen, just scan this right here. It will bring you to the app, download it, subscribe to the tournament, and it will send you all your notifications.
Yeah.
But that's what it's about. That's what me and you do as we go to these places. But also, your weekend was way crazier because with your conference calls, with trying to do broadcast boards, trying to help Brad out on the side court, and then get ready for the the big ESPN broadcast. I know you were being pulled all over the place, like kind of Gumby on Saturday.
Well, exactly, yeah, because it was still, and like I say, I still kind of get the shock of people knowing who I am and me having no clue who they are, but just kind of walking through a crowd and then people pulling me. But that, you talk about not wearing the hat. I went back to the hotel, took the hat off, I shaved, I was looking clean cut, and I walked right through everybody, like down the center of those 40 boards, and I didn't get anyone notice me until I was like 3/4 of the way down to the end of the venue.
Well, that was the fun thing about coming to Canada, because when I walked through the first time and I had my camera in my hand, everybody's looking at me like I'm some weirdo. They're like, who the hell is this guy? Right?
Yeah.
Until a quarter of the way into the venue, I ran into Bernie. And he's like, hey, what's going on? Because everybody's like, who's this guy just holding a GoPro thinking he's like a cool cat, like walking through? They're like, like, what's with this hoser, eh?
Yeah. But that was the thing. There was so many people that were just in awe of everything there. And that was the other big thing I wanted to really see with this weekend, because up until now, most of those players had only played afternoon tournaments, or maybe, like a tournament that maybe was just 10 hours. They'd never played in a 3-day event before. And by the time Sunday came around, a lot of people were saying that, you know what, I'm kind of done.
Well, it takes a lot. I mean, really, to play in a lot of these, because most of us try to get in there on Thursday, right?
Yep.
Because usually Thursday night, whoever is kind of hosting the weekend, not the ACL, but whoever's that kind of local crew,
Yep.
usually tries to do something on Thursday night to bring more people in. And I know a lot of pros, because of all the stuff that's been happening with airlines and everything else, trying to get in a little bit early. And I know that takes away from family time and work time and everything else like that. But they try to get in on Thursday to do that blind draw. And I know the blind draw Thursday night had a really good attendance.
Yeah, we had Sam Finley, Chris Kingsbury there, as well as most of the Canadian people. I know they did do one over on the Buffalo side, so that some people stayed over on that side to do that.
But dude, Chris Kingsbury, I just gotta say, kid's a straight up killer. Like next year when he's on the Pro Tour, he's gonna make people cry.
Oh, and you know what? And he's an even better person to sit down and talk with.
I talked with him for about 45 minutes after doubles, in between like everything else. It was a great time talking to him. Love that kid. I think he's going to do big things. But like the tournament itself was run very smoothly. Like the ACL with ACL Canada made sure everything stayed right on time.
Yep.
I mean, we even run. Me and you talked about it earlier, but even with some of the blind draw stuff, which in the States, they're usually running, 3, 4, 5 of them off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't sure if it was going to work just because of time constraints. But I heard at least 3 to 5 of them starting.
Yep.
I mean, I paid my $10 American, and, Keck looked at me crazy. And I'm like, listen, I don't do rainbow money. So you figure out the exchange rate, but just keep the tenner.
Yeah.
Just moved on.
Yeah. But and that was a great thing, just for people to be able to, and I said on the ESPN broadcast as well, is that the ACL has been in Canada for 6 years. Everyone always asks when a big event was going to be here, and they got to experience that big event for the first time. And I'm going to say that I've had a lot of messages. Mike has had a lot of messages. I know Matt's got some. Like everybody was like, right as soon as that was done, they're ready for the next one right then.
Well, I think that's the big thing too, right? And that's what you want, right? Because, I mean, last night I talked with Jordan Kamba, and the big thing with Jordan was, the pro season, they used to, kind of end in August and then start back up in October. But now more and more it's dragging out through the entire year because they're stretching the season.
Yep.
I was always on the mindset of, give them the off season, right? Because that's every other sport has an off season. Mm-hmm. But Jordan brought up a great point last night of really can't have an off season because we're still trying to establish the sport.
Yep.
Right. And I think that's the big thing for Canada is, what could be that next big thing, right? What could be that next tournament? But where do you put it next time, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I've joked with all my friends that I went to the first international tournament 30 feet over the border.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, exactly, yeah.
I mean, because it was if you're at Niagara Falls, it was a quarter mile. The venue was at least a quarter mile from the falls, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't far at all.
Yeah. So if you're a decent golfer, maybe John Daly, would have hit the venue from the falls,
yes.
Right? But the next big thing in Canada needs to be another tournament, and it needs to kind of move around. Is the next one in Toronto, which is probably the one of the biggest cities in Canada, mm-hmm. And then do you bring one to Montreal? Do you bring one to Newfoundland? Do you bring one out into BC to kind of move it around to make it bigger and better, right?
Yep.
And you really start to look at some of the pros, because I think the next big thing for the pros is it the Netherlands? Yeah,
in the Netherlands, and that's where the ACL has had a nice easy schedule in August, because there's the ACL finals. They have I think it's a weekend off, and then they go to the Netherlands right after that.
Yeah, but I think if it's not timed right, some people might not get back in time. Mm-hmm. Right. And then you've got all this other stuff thrown in there. But I think the international game is going to be where it's at, right? Really, if we really want to turn this into an Olympic sport and we really want to start to make this game bigger than it is than a backyard sport or game, it really does have to, you got to kind of have those ambassadors of the game, right? Yeah. And honestly, I don't think it's just the pros. I think you need some of the, the bigger companies to come out too. Mm-hmm. Right? There needs to be some sort of incentive for the bigger companies to show up. Like, I know, Cornhole Supply has connections.
Yep.
But it would be nice to see some of the big companies showing up and kind of being there.
Exactly. And I think that was the big thing. I think was just crossing the border with like the whole being able to sell and kind of everything. Like that was the hard thing, because that is still a thing with Cornhole Supplies Canada. They're bringing all the bags in. So when people buy them in Canada, they don't have to pay the duty on the bags that they get from Cornhole Supplies Canada. Right? You know what I mean? So
well, you said duty.
Yeah, I know. But that ends, and if they're buying bags from the States, they're paying that they're paying that in American, so they're actually paying more. Then they've got to pay that other rate that they have to pay, and they're waiting a week and a half maybe to get the bags. They get them from Cornhole Supplies Canada. It's in Canadian dollars, and it ships the next day.
Well, and I think that's great, but even with the exchange and everything else like that, with them not technically selling there, I would love to see the representation there, right? Yeah. Like, I know I was up there with Titan. I was talking up Titan bags, trying not to talk down Octane bags because I love them too. But, everybody was by the table and was asking about them. I even told them at the table to, come talk to me if they want to talk about those bags, because I throw them all the time. But, like, to really start to get people into some of the better sets of bags and really start to get into, what different bags will do. Because in that venue, stuff started to change halfway through the day when everybody was there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the other thing with people coming in. They're like, so many people didn't know that there were still that many different brands of bags and different fabrics, and this does this. And I talked to Dion Kuza from Newfoundland. He was like, I see these people coming in with like all these, well, he called them coolers, wheeling in with these coolers coming in, and they got like 12 and 14 sets of bags for this type of board or this condition. He goes, I came in with my 4 hole shots in my pocket and I was ready to go.
Listen, I have to get out there because after watching the musical online, Come From Away,
yeah,
like the accent was spot on, and the two of them were amazing. Yeah. I literally, that one of my next trips will be getting out there to play with them.
I have to get there as well, and I will disguise it as a family trip to visit family, but I will be doing a whole lot of cornhole there, because they're for a new league, they're playing 3 nights a week out there, right? It's just amazing how much, and now it's just growing, because now that Dion's the pro, and I talked with him about it last week, was that there's even people in coffee shops that are not from where he's from that are talking to other people going, hey, did you hear about that guy from St. John's that's become a cornhole pro the other weekend in Ontario? So I think Sean and Amber, well, we know Amber runs the show, it's not Sean. She's going to become quite busy with getting Cornhole Newfoundland going.
Yeah, and I think literally with just the excitement the two of them brought to the weekend,
yeah,
I can see it exploding out there. I can see it really like taking off.
Exactly, yeah, because they even got TV time on the broadcast up close, which was good for them. But it's just the weekend as a whole was just, we've seen some incredible cornhole. I know Trey. I had some fun with Trey in I want to say the doubles final. Actually, even leading up to that there, because it was Bobby Sperry and Eric Hauser throwing the kinetics, and there was a couple times Bobby had a bag that was, I'm going to say, a good foot away from the hole, and Trey was like, "Oh, that bag's out," and then all of a sudden Bobby would like bring it back in and actually put it in the hole, drag it in the hole, and so it got to the point where Trey was like, "I'm not going to say that Bobby Sperry's bag is out of play because it just isn't." And I was like, well, that's kinetic motion. It doesn't stop. Right? So,
No, and Bobby was shooting well all weekend. I think he was a driving force in the in doubles with his partner and really starting to throw some really great bags. I know he made a charge on the American side for the team cup.
Yep.
But lost to Team Extra Pro.
Yeah.
I think they came in second, I think, for that one, right?
Yeah, well, and he had a team all from Buffalo, which, Buffalo's got they got Eric Hauser, Paul Villapiano. They've got a lot of great throwers over there, and even I think a guy who's almost in your area, who's in your conference, Nick Petuski, really put on a show as well all weekend.
Yeah, well, technically, Bobby's still in our conference too.
Well, yeah.
He's still the Northeast. I mean, even though Buffalo's another country, they are still in the Northeast Conference.
Yes.
Even though they're closer to Ohio than they are to us.
Yeah. Well, it's got to end somewhere, right?
Yeah, the world ends in Ohio.
Yeah. Well, the Heat obviously goes there, but I think that's another story for them to deal with. So that's the Saturday during the day. Saturday night, the big show. We got to see a lot of. I'm going to say probably the best cornhole I've seen here in Canada to date, with just the amount of shots and the people that raised their game and people that made me look very, very smart, which is very hard to do.
Well, I think, Saturday night, because I was kind of standing in the background on that one with my beautiful Scorehole jersey most of the night.
Yeah.
Every game was, pretty close. There wasn't a real blowout. Everything was really back and forth. I think there was just a couple unlucky bags on, the Canadian side, because most of the time the Canadians lined up beside each other and the Americans lined up beside each other. I think there was just a couple bags that just kind of skipped a little bit over the hole and, cost teams a couple points.
Yep. And it's the one thing I really liked with that whole weekend was, and I said it, I knew the one game was going to be the Laurie Duel, Bernie Portalesi against Jordan Power and Steve Poole, because we like I said on the broadcast, we know that Duel and Power can throw, but Bernie and Steve have been kind of going at it in our league nights for like the past 4 weeks before that. So it was just them going at each other again. And I think Steve just came up, made some amazing shots.
He did. I mean, honestly, if you look at everybody that played, he had the second best bag control, I think, out of all the Canadian pros.
Yeah.
The person that had the best bag control and played the smartest game was the gentleman who won. I just forget his name.
That the word smartest doesn't usually kind of be told with him.
But he did play the smartest game.
Yeah.
He kept it down the middle, kept it a little dirty. Made shots when he had to, but Jamie, I think, played not a conservative game, but I think the smartest and best game out of all the pros that night.
Well, he had, and Trey had alluded to it on the broadcast. He developed a cut shot, a roll shot, and I will take full credit for that because he does it against me all the time. But just he really rounded out his game, and I think, and I talked to some other Canadian players here, is I think a lot of them are still in the slide a bag up the middle and it's in, right? They haven't really been working on that cut game or playing with a dirty board, right? They're still kind of in that, if I'm blocked, I'm screwed.
Well, and I think that's the thing too. I talked with Jordan Campbell this last night. A couple years ago is the block airmail, and it was really great. But now with it goes bag for bag, or you got the cut shot, or you got the bar of soap, or you've got all those other crazy shots. But when you look at the Canadian side of the board, the pressure, right? It's their first time on the broadcast.
Yep.
Like true ESPN, right?
Yep.
Some of them have been on broadcast boards, but I would say a broadcast board to the side is way different than an ESPN camera.
Yeah.
I think that got to a couple people.
And I think that's where Jamie was able to use that, being on ESPN before. There was more lights and more kind of a rowdy crowd. He had a more pro-Canadian crowd with him this time. But, there was him. Dean Lang had that. Mike Nilazaric had that as well, too, when they were down in Myrtle Beach. But it was just, I don't want to say more comfortable, but just, it was easier that way. Their other thing was, and I talked about it a lot as well, is that Mike Nilazaric and Bobby Speary threw the same bags. So Mike had that going for him, but guys like Rick Wiersma never threw a Reynolds bag before. I know Jamie Cowan had never touched a Vortex bag until Saturday afternoon, right? So they were all using bags that they're not used to throwing.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the first round that Jamie played in, I think it affected him more than later on.
Yeah.
Because I think, the other piece that kind of helped him is that bag clicked a little more near the end, right? Because he figured out how to throw the bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what, hurts people even in a local blind draw, is when they let the other person pick the bag, or they feel they're better and they're going to throw their bags. It hurts people because they're not comfortable with the bag and they can't figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think Jamie kind of dialed it in faster than others did, figured the bag out, and played a smarter game. Wasn't going for the hole every time, right? Was trying to maybe keep it in front, clog the lane up a little, cut around the side. I honestly think that's why they won.
Yep. And those boards weren't the easiest to play on as well, because I'm not sure if you found it, but I found them to play really slow out of the box.
Well, I think it really depended on where they were in the venue, right? I think I've talked about this on the old Dogcast podcast, where 603 Sean Haley runs a lot of the stuff for the Northeast. He's now the Northeast director, but in years past he was just a local director, but ran a lot of stuff. And the venue we played in, especially in the wintertime, if you played near the doors, the boards were cold and they ran fast.
Yep.
But if you played deeper in the venue, the boards got sticky and the bags wouldn't move.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we saw a little bit of that, especially on the ESPN boards a little bit, where it wasn't a true ESPN board. And the reason I say that is there wasn't the big heavy spotlights on the board.
Yeah, no.
There wasn't the TVs to the side where the players could see. It was a little more basic setup. So I think it affected the boards a little more, especially on that kind of rubber surface, the plastic surface.
Yeah, the VersaCourt, yeah.
Yeah, the VersaCourt. I think it affected a little more. And when you're throwing all day on concrete and a small little mat that's basically pounded down from 1,000 people standing on it.
Yep.
It plays differently.
And those boards on the ESPN broadcast court weren't used that much unless there was someone wanted to go up and practice. They let people go up and practice on them when they wanted to, but they really weren't used as much as the other ones because they were kind of off to the side.
Well, they were off to the side. A lot of people stayed away from it because they were afraid, and they were also pucked at the same time too, right?
Yeah.
So that board did not move or bounce as much as some of the other boards you played on all day, right? If you were playing on some of the other courts besides the broadcast court or the ESPN court, those boards weren't pucked. So your bag would bounce a little. So maybe you threw the bag a little different to get it closer to the hole or to get it in the hole. So that affects play at the same time.
Yep. I think that was just another thing because people really don't use pucks around here that much anyway. Like they'll use that if they're actually I don't even think we use them at our league night, but just any of the big events now. Matt's got a big full set of using pucks at any of the conference events now. But did
he get a whole container full, eh?
Well, he already had a whole container full, before. because we used them back in December at the conference pro qualifier, but and then they will be used again coming up in our next conference. But just I think that was the other thing is that people just really, and I kind of keep going back, just the awe of having playing with the pucks, playing with these other boards. Just it was just that big. It had that big event feel.
It did. I think the only thing that lacked a little bit was we didn't have the Johnsonville tent set up. We didn't have the 4-bagger signs. If you look on the video, you'll see some people with cardboard signs that they kind of took out of a dumpster somewhere and wrote on them with marker, and then had about 10 or 12 triple X's.
Yeah, and wearing a really ugly onesie.
Yes, and onesies with cheap selfie sticks. They gotta you guys up there have to up your selfie stick game. But other than that, but honestly, I had a blast. I wish I could have stayed longer. I wish I could have hung out more. Just right now, life is kind of getting in the way of everything else.
Yeah.
Especially this week. This has been a very trying week coming back. On Tuesday, I had a small little accident on the bike.
Yes.
Yes, some lady decided the light turned green when it didn't, and has crushed my motorcycle. So now I'm just waiting for that to come back from the shop. But, also at the same time, I don't know what your school year looks like up there, but ours is about coming to an end. So we're at finals and we're at taking state tests and everything else like that. So my kid's schedule is all over the place right now. Plus, over the weekend, there's been graduations, confirmations, first communions. My sister just graduated from nursing school. Congratulations. There's so much stuff going on. So it cuts into everything else.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm kind of getting that now because you get, and like you said, you get with doing a show, you get asked to do a whole, we want you to come to this tournament. We want you to come to that tournament. It's like, well, I've got other stuff I got to do as well too. I can't be playing cornhole all the time. Although I want to be, I can't be playing cornhole now. And now after doing live feeds all weekend, are you going to do live feeds at this tournament? Are you going to do live feeds at that tournament? No, I want to play. I want to be able to play as well too.
Well, Doug, here's what we need. We need to get together and we need to reach out to some of these RV manufacturers that can, get us an RV. The Corn Dog Voice RV.
Yes.
And get us to travel the country, the whole continent. We'll go anywhere you want us to go as long as you give us the RV and pay for gas. And
not going to do it like the way the last one was done.
Which one?
That other cornhole RV. We're not.
Oh, no, not even close. No. This one will just be the two of us.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
We're not going to put free cornhole bags on the side of it or anything, but it will not be a creeper bus. But we will, we listen. Here's the thing: if you want us to show up at your tournaments, you want us to be there, you can start a GoFundMe for us and bring us there. But
exactly.
the both of us have real jobs that we have to really go to to be able to pay mortgages, insurance, wife, kids, family. Like, there's a lot of obligations we have, but we'd love to come. But guess what? We're not even cornhole hundredaires. Never mind millionaires.
But you can buy down and back jerseys on the Octane website, and that will help out at least this half of the show.
It will help that guy.
Yeah. I think I've got about 5 sold now, so I'm up to about like $5. But yeah, but it's still.
Well, that's, $4.57 American.
I can't even buy a beer for that at an open.
Well, listen, here's the thing. Well, getting to that, ready? People were saying like $11 for a beer at the open was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I was excited because that was $8.57 my money. And they were the pounders. But they also were Miller Lite. They had Miller Lite. They had Bud Light. So they had Coors Banquet. They had regular beer. It wasn't.
And at the Canadian alcohol percentage as well.
Yes. So it was an amazing day. And, it wasn't like other tournaments where we have to drink like Sierra Nevada the entire day and be hammered after like 3 in when they're like 5.7 pounders.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved it. It was a great time. But I can't wait to do it all again, Doug. I know you have a lot of stuff planned for this summer.
We got our. I'm going to be headed down to Charlotte next Thursday. I leave at 6:30 on Thursday morning. Hopefully, my flight is a bit better this time. I'm not doing it direct because that didn't end up direct last time. I'm going to fly into to Reagan again and then head down to Charlotte that way, and then I'll be visiting a friend of ours. I guess I was on your show with him.
Well, my ex-partner will now be your partner.
Yes, as well too. Yeah, Mr. Louis Dupree will be my partner down at tournament with that Heath Jenkins is doing at the Coca-Cola 600, and I'll see how that'll go.
I'm very sad I'm going to miss that. I would love to come back and hang out with Heath. Listen, that man has a small barbecue, but a crap ton of food on it. He just keeps cooking.
He was at the dirt track at Charlotte there last weekend, posting pictures, and I was like, "You're killing me."
Oh,
I got to wait 2 weeks.
That man can cook, and his amazing wife can make an amazing mac and cheese. Like I'd love to be in that area, not with just NASCAR and be able to hang out down there and play cornhole, but just hanging out with them and just having a great time is completely what I would love to do.
Exactly. I'm gonna get up to the Octane Garage. I've got to be practicing my airmails because I know that I'm gonna go down into turn 3. You'll probably be seeing videos this year at 3:00 in the morning. I'll probably be going live, but they have a bottle of Fireball that they place in between the boards, and if you throw a short, you gotta take a chug on it, and I can't do that.
So, Doug, when I was down there with Heath, I brought a handle of Fireball with me as a gift for hanging out at his house all night. The first thing that man did was took the cap off and pulled out the stopper.
Yeah.
Like ripped the stopper right out. He's like, nope, you're going full bore. There's nothing that's going to slow down your shot.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm a little afraid of that there, so I got to be practicing my airmail. So there'll be no corn dog. Everything will be going flying off the back.
Just send it.
Yeah. That's what I'll be doing, and it's going to be fun. So you will be seeing I will be making sure I'll be doing lots of live video next weekend for the channel, just because it'll be fun. I think I haven't. Hopefully, I'll have talked to Matt before this comes out, but be bringing down some Octane swag to maybe give away down there at the track.
I love that little Can-Am connection.
Exactly, yeah. So hopefully we'll have some fun, and I'll be actually seeing another one of your friends there as well. I think he'll be at the tournament. Will be Duncan Clever.
Oh, Dunky Dunk!
So, yes, yeah. So I didn't get a chance to see him the last time I was down there. I was supposed to, but he'll be at this one, I believe.
Yeah, they had a big tournament yesterday.
Yeah,
they had a huge tournament down there, and it looked like an amazing tournament. Life just got in the way, and I couldn't make it down there, but I wish I could. I will try to make it there next year, but like Duncan Clemmer, Brandon Jones, two of the greatest people, Stovepipe Cornhole, great human beings, even better people to hang out with. I would love to come down there and just be with them too.
Well, maybe next year you'll come down. I'll wrap the camper with our logos. I like it, but
dude, we'll do it anyway. We'll get pulled over with those logos.
Yes. Yeah. But to support the logos, we got to talk about the sponsors. I know you've got sponsors that you have.
I do. Listen, right behind me right there, Titan Bags by West Georgia Cornhole, because the X factor in your game should be their boards. And my other sponsor is Scoreholio, because if you are not keeping score with Scoreholio, your game or your tournament is pointless. Well,
you know what? Speaking of Scoreholio, I've got a stat that's right here. The top YouTube search terms that were with my show, 25% were Ben Voodoo
Really?
for the month ending May 13th.
I'm just going to start tagging him on every one of my videos.
He hasn't been on the show in about a year, but I guess people are still looking for him. So, but then for my show here, make sure you hit. Where's I'm going to say it's on. Yeah, it's on that side of the video that you're watching. Hit the subscribe button because I am 13 subscribers away from our next contest, which will not be Octane bags this time. There will be a different prize given away. Can't say what it is until we hit those 350 subscribers. And then there's also straight down below, right below the voice, there's a thumb. Hit that thumbs up when you're watching. It doesn't take much to do it. You just have to hit the thumb, hit the subscribe, hit the thumb. Is free, and you can get into contests.
Well, they should like, share, and subscribe.
Exactly. Yeah, I love sharing. You know what? You got to be like the Newfoundland people because my show with Dion last week has just blown up.
Hey, Doug, sharing is caring.
It is, yes, and it helps. It helps out the bottom line as well too, people. When we do that, there get some subscribers, it helps out the show immensely. And then they're going to start coming across the bottom. Remember, Octane Cornhole, OctaneCornhole.com. Discount code CornDoug gets you 10% off of the new Octane jerseys. These are really nice, and then you can get either the down and back jerseys, you can get bags, you can get hats, all the other shirts, whatever you need. From there, then head over to the other guy that the show a couple weeks ago turned into a GoFundMe. He said, JC Cornhole, help Jamie get to the next national. Again, I'm not sure if he'll give you a discount for saying that you were watching the show, but we'll see. It depends on his mood. Then head over to My Earfun.
Doug, those are all hand-painted boards.
Yes, they are. He wants me to paint them, but finger painting doesn't do well on those boards. Then myearfun.com, discount code CornDoug there, get you 20% off of earbuds or a waterproof Bluetooth speaker. Then there's going to be sierrahome.com. Check out Darren if you're in the Edmonton, Alberta area. He does all home inspections, wherever you need to do to help. If you want to know where to store your boards in the perfect spot, Darren will help you to show you where you should be storing them or anything else that is wrong with your house or what is right with your house. He will help you with that. And then if you want to get Titan bags in Canada and you don't want to just to send out, I think Titan, I'm not sure if Titan does ship to Canada.
I'm not sure if it's shipped to Canada.
I know all Cornhole doesn't, but hey, go to csccornhole.com. You can get your Titan bags, your all Cornhole, your local, your Fire, your Ultra bags, whatever you need. He's going to get it there, and you'll get it shipped out the next day. So, with that, anything else you have to share?
No, I mean, I think that's it. I mean, everybody, listen, I love the show with Doug. I think he does amazing stuff. If you want to hear other stuff, I started my new venture, which is The Other Side of the Bag, which I will be interviewing people on a lot of things people complain about in Cornhole. I talked to Mr. Jordan Campbell last night about sponsorships and how those aren't unicorns and magical. You actually have to work towards them. And I'm working on some stuff in the background, so stay tuned. The Voice of Cornhole page will be turning to The Other Side of the Bag.
And that other side of the bag is usually my issue. Okay. You will see me next after I'm in Charlotte. I'll get home, take a week and a half off. Then I will be heading to conference number 2 of the Central Conference here in Canada, June 10th and 11th. All of the details can be found on, as he says, the Book of Face. I think all of the leagues in Canada here, or in Ontario at least, are sharing them. It's in the Canadian Cornhole Players, June 10th and 11th in Cobourg, Ontario. West Northumberland Cornhole Club is hosting, along with KW, Garden City, Peterborough, Brant County. I'm not sure who else is going to be in on that there, but that will be a Friday and a Saturday of Cornhole. You get to play on the ACL Canada boards with ACL Canada mats and ACL Canada scoreboards. All great stuff. You will see me there. And as always, watch out for those people throwing gas, because it won't be like me, and you'll see that on the video I'll be posting here soon. They might just kick your ass.